I'm Matt. This is my 74 RX2 Capella with a 26B 4-rotor engine. So this is my 74 RX2 Capella with the 26B. Yeah, we had it started up last night and it's good to hear it finally run. Been 5 years in the build. Yeah, so we'll give it a start. We'll start it up and you can listen to it run. It's a Bridgeport with a semi-PP. It's got RX8 rotors. They were slotted to take the earlier 2mm apex seal. It's got power seals in it, side, corner, and apex seals, of course. The gearbox is a G-Force T5, so it's a face-plated dog box. It's probably a little bit noisy side, but it'll definitely take the RPM and some abuse, I guess. For the diff, we've got a Hilux. It's got a 4.3 with a True Track. And it's got wheelwood brakes front and rear, and we had to do a bit of work in getting the 4-piston wheelwoods to get under the 13-inch wheels, because the whole idea of the car was to retain like a stock sort of looking Capella, hence the hubcaps, the rear Venetian and stuff. But yeah, so now it actually runs ventilated brakes front and rear, and wheelwood 4-piston calipers. All right, so with this engine being a side port, the original concept we had was to run an individual throttle. So we'd have 8 throttles, similar, basically the same setup that we did on the Stuyvesant RX7. It's got a 20B, but with the 6th throttle, and I liked it. It looks good. It's super responsive. So I thought I'll do 8 throttles on the quad. But once we put everything together, the throttle body was longer than the engine itself. So that idea got binned pretty quickly, and I thought, how are we going to do it? We'll have to come up with a Plenum design. So we've made a Plenum on it and done a big single throttle. Bell-mouthed all the runners inside the Plenum. It gets pretty tight in there. Obviously with so many pipes going into such little area, it gets a bit tight in there, but we did what we could. Being the later Capella with the pointy nose, it just gives us a bit more room in the front of the car. There's not as much as I first thought. I originally thought we would get a single big radiator sitting up in the nose. So we've made the 2 radiators into a V to sit in the grille and in the nose of the car. Then we've got a 3rd radiator which is down underneath those, underneath the valance. The engine's dry sumped. So we run a dry sump pump on the engine with an oil tank up in the back of the boot. And yeah, basically it feeds the dry sump with oil and lubricates the engine. So at 10,000 RPM, we shouldn't really have any oiling issues. All right, this is an RX4 with a 20B. Last time you've seen this car, I would have seen it with we had a 13B Bridgeport with a semi-PP with the IDA injection on it. That ran around, it got beat up for about 5 years before I had someone offer me some money for the engine. And I thought, you know what, time for a 20B. It's a short crank 20B, this one. So the cranks are made in New Zealand, and instead of running the big fat plate, it runs a smaller thin plate, basically your standard center plate, and then we machine those and put a stationary gear and bearing in it to run the 3rd rotor. Well, I'd probably say it's more an R&D car at the moment. We've been mucking around with the exhaust and the intake. this is my favourite. This one has a 20B in it, which is a Bridgeport semi-PP, and we did the 6 throttle setup on this one. And this was the concept that we really wanted in the RX, or that I really wanted in the RX2, but once you added the extra throttles, it just became too long. It wasn't feasible to do. It looked a bit ugly, to be honest with you. But this is one of 2. We've got another one in the build now, which has a 4-rotor in it. So it'll be the same, exactly the same layout, except then the 42 car, it'll be the 43 car. So this was the Hansford car. The 43 car was obviously the Moffat car. JD Customs did all the paint panel on this one, and they're doing the other one now. And yeah, I love it. It came out, I actually gave them a model of the car, and if it came out half as good as that, I would have been happy. It is better than the model. I absolutely, the work they've done, I love it. It's unbelievable.